North Korea has tested its third missile in 10 days today. In fact, in recent months, it has ramped up tests of new potentially nuclear-capable missiles designed to overwhelm missile defense systems in the region. For perspective on this, we are being joined by Ambassador S.R. Tayal, former Indian ambassador to the Republic of Korea, and Professor Swaran Singh, a foreign affairs expert. He is professor of diplomacy and disarmament at the School of International Studies in GNU. I welcome you both to Newsnight. This is an attention-seeking tactic of North Korea. Professor Singh, are China and Russia using North Korea as a proxy to undermine the global leadership position of the United States, and is that playing out in diplomatic circles and in terms of technological nexus as well?
Thank you, Moon. I think at least the United States assessment definitely is that China and Russia are using North Korea to keep US and its allies engaged and preoccupied. And that is how this Wednesday the US Treasury Department has sanctioned fresh 5 Koreans, 4 living in China and 1 living in Russia, accusing them of supplying certain missiles, technologies or materials becoming part of these tests. What is important to understand is that this is a bargaining tactics on behalf of Kim Jong-un. That is why this hyperbole and then publicity is what is being accompanied by these tests. Otherwise, Kim Jong-un is known to conduct about a dozen tests every year, except for about 17 months when there were one after another summit meetings directly between President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. He's been usually constantly doing these missile tests, expanding his missile stockpiles. But as you mentioned in the beginning, from March 2020, he was not showcasing himself to be witnessing these tests, and that is something new. Also, what is new is 2 hypersonic tests in first fortnight plus the test today, which are major tests in that sense. And that's a technological leapfrogging of North Korea in that sense, and Kim himself called them strategic weapons, which clearly have an indication to United States. Timing also is very interesting. Timing is important because the main adversary of North Korea, United States, President Biden has been, particularly after sudden exit from Afghanistan, preoccupied with the tensions with Russia in Ukraine theater. South Korea is going for presidential elections on 9th of March. And, God willing, if conservatives come to power, it could create further tensions between North and South Korea. And Japan, again, post Shinzo Abe is a relatively new prime minister. So in that sense, it is showcasing of enormous advantage in terms of time, in terms of technology, in terms of backing that North Korea has apparently from China and Russia. And finally, important to understand that this becomes kind of a nexus between Russia, China and North Korea, and constantly plays on the fears of United States, which feels like failing in that race. Russia has conducted hypersonic missiles from 2019. Chinese have displayed in 2017, but now they're saying that DF-17, which was reported to be hypersonic, is not the one, but they're inducting other ones. So already in that so-called missile race of hypersonic missiles, which are no longer vulnerable to the missile defense, which we have known so far. The missile defense cannot deal with these missiles. So here is also a kind of leapfrogging and the technological advantage that Russia, China, through North Korea are demonstrating to United States and its friends and allies as to whether they are losing out in technological competition in that sense. So there are multiple linkages primarily aimed at bargaining with the United States that they really need to bring down tensions, bring down sanctions on North Korea, and that North Korea is not really going to come on its knees and sort of beg any further from the United States, because China and Russia have repeatedly backed up, even in saying that we need not have sanctions, we should lower sanctions. They believe North Korea is getting certain atmospherics for negotiations. So it's a strong man's projection of advantage technology and advantage of the situation in terms of timing that Kim Jong-un is showcasing to Joe Biden.
Well, thank you, Ambassador Tayal and Professor Swaran Singh, for having joined us with your views.